Okay, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, we'd like to thank the Symposium Committee for giving us the opportunity to present our work today. My name is SUNDANA. Together with my colleague, Dr. Arif Sutadian, we are from West Java Research and Development Agency, Indonesia. And we work together with Dr. Anindria Nastiti. She's from Department of Environmental Engineering, Institute of Technology, Bandung. So today, we'd like to present our work about the identification of key zero waste management indicators for West Java. First, we'd like to start with a problem statement. For West Java, with the capital city of Bandung, we have almost 50 million population, which is the most populated province in Indonesia. And the solid waste volume is always increasing. The problem is, as mentioned by the keynote speaker earlier, that we still rely heavily on the availability of final dumping site, or we still take the approach of collect, transport to dispose, or also known as kumpul angkut buang. The issues is that based on the latest modeling result, most area in West Java are less or not suitable to be used as final disposal site. We have almost 50 million population, but the area itself, we only cover about 2% of Indonesian land. And so we have very limited land. So probably in the next decade, we won't have any land available for final dumping site. So of course, we need radical and maybe quick change for this. And our study started with the idea of zero waste concept, which is now emerging as the effective approach for many urban areas to tackle their solid waste problem. The definition of zero waste that we took from the Zero Waste International Alliance 2008, basically how we improve resource recovery and reuse. So basically the ultimate goal is that no waste going to the landfill and the environmental mediums. And in Indonesia, the principle of zero waste approach has already been regulated in law number 18, 2008, about solid waste management, and then further elaborated in the presidential decree in 2017 about national policy and strategy, which mandated that all local government must handle the waste, all the waste, 70%, and reduce the waste by 30% in the year 2025. Problem is, the issue is that in order to be properly implemented by all local governments, it is very urgent to develop appropriate performance indicators that can be measured simply and then interpreted easily, while also accessible and reliable for monitoring waste reduction. So that's why our initial study, when we conduct a review about zero waste application, in many countries, in many cities, and different kind of documents from academic to technical guidelines, we found that many have produced different sets of indicators on solid waste management system. However, when we try to adopt it for West Java, it's quite difficult because most of the indicators, they have not yet considered the natural and socio-economic condition and characteristics of West Java province. And most of the studies also mostly, conducted by academics and maybe with the government through technical documents, and they have not yet involved the participation of local solid waste management stakeholders. And most important, they have not yet consolidated as key indicators for evaluating waste management system. So the indicators are just too many. It's difficult for government to implement that. So that's why me and my colleague, we have started a research agenda in developing a West Java Zero Waste Management Index, which started since last year. The first two activities that we conduct a review of existing zero waste index, And then we developed the conceptual framework of West Java Zero Waste Management Index. The first two work we have published it in academic journal and conference proceeding. And this time in this conference, we'd like to present the next stage is the identification of key zero waste management indicators for West Java. And then the methodology, how we go about it. First, we conduct intensive literature review. And then from there, we found 194 indicators of zero waste management system, which are then broadly classified into 5 different categories, such as technical or waste management process, and then economic, socio-cultural, institutional, and legal or policy aspect. And then from there, we found 58 of the most frequently appeared indicators. And then those 58 indicators, we present them in an online survey to ask to the participant, to the respondents, and then they will rate the indicators from with 5 Likert scale, 5-point Likert scale, from 1 if it's not needed to 5, which is very high priority. So we use Google Form in Bahasa Indonesia, of course, so it's easier, accessible to all the participants. So this is just an example of the questionnaire. Let's say ask about what do you think about community education. 1 is not needed and 5 is very high priority. So they have to fill the questionnaire. Now we'd like to present the result. The respondents are or the participants of the solid waste management experts and practitioners coming from different institutions, from government, universities, research institutions, consulting companies, private or government-owned companies, non-government organizations, and community groups. So we have 38 respondents. We are very happy to listen to earlier keynote speaker, Pak Gun-Gun. If you're still here, Mr. Gun-Gun, we thank you very much because you're also one of the participants of our survey. We appreciate your time. The respondents' profile, according to its affiliation, the most participants come from the NGO or community group of 34%. Second is government, local government, 21%, and university of academics, 15.8%. And then in terms of the number of years of experience in solid waste management, well, most of the respondents are early career professionals. So I have 1 to 5 years of experience, 55%, 6 to 10 years, 21%, and 11 to 15 years, 13%. First, we asked them, what do they think about solid waste management issue for West Java? How important? And it's very compelling, about almost 95% say that solid waste issues in West Java are very urgent and needs to be prioritized in development agenda. And then we asked them how important are these aspects from these 5 aspects. Number 1 is that this is the number of percentage of respondents who thinks that this aspect is of very high priority. Number 1 is legal policy. 81.6% thinks that this aspect is very high priority. And then followed by institutional, socio-cultural, technical, and economic. And then we're going to the finding of the indicators, as we mentioned earlier, 58 indicators. From the 58 indicators, we asked the respondents, each of the indicators, what do they think about it? Whether it's not needed or very high priority. So a number of indicators which are rated as very high priority by at least 67% of the participants were identified as the potential key indicators for the assessment of zero waste management. The result is that we found 21 indicators from the 5 categories that were identified as key indicators. These are the 21 indicators. So each of these indicators are identified by the stakeholders as very high priority. I mean, more than 67% of the respondents think that this is very high priority. So there are 5 indicators from technical aspect, 3 indicators from economic aspect, 1 indicator from socio-cultural, and then 5 indicators from institutional, and 7 indicators for legal policy. So we can see that legal or policy aspect have the most indicators. So it's consistent with previous finding that this aspect is very high priority. I will not mention this one by one because we have limited time, but we are happy to discuss this maybe later in the Q&A session. So to conclude our study, so the study provides a list of key indicators for developing assessment and management tools for zero waste systems. We hope that this study will be very useful for developing assessment or analytical tools and would provide an invaluable input for the local decision makers to improve the performance measurement of their zero waste management and overall solid waste management. And future study could be conducted to develop waste forecasting and assessment tools based on the proposed indicators. So that concludes our presentation. We thank you very much for your kind attention. I'll give it back to the chairman. Thank you.